It is start.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to today's Biochar series session. It's the 17th episode of Biochar series. What started as a very interesting topic of discussion between myself and Shekru's team a year and a half ago uh, turned out into a very interesting collaboration of talking more about biochar and bringing in various people from all across the country and the world to come and share their biochar experiences. And Shekru has done a very fantastic job in Marathi, especially in bringing agriculturally relevant information free and to the farmers directly from practitioners. And when we learned about biochar, when they learned about biochar, we collectively thought it deserves a separate series. And we've started this in English, which was an exception for Shekru. So Shekru is an online agricultural extension initiative by Shekru Foundation that started by Anand Krishna. And Shekru does online deep dive sessions via Zoom, along with YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn Live. No registration, free, and open to all, and out there in the on the web for perpetuity. And it's a farmer first, on ground focused platform. So it's a very good privilege to partner with Shekru to bring to you various different approaches, solutions of biochar from all around the country and around the world. I am Tejas. I run 2.0 farms and I've been a regenerative farmer, biochar enthusiast, and it makes it makes me joyous to learn various biochar initiatives all around the world for people to come together, work for climate, work for farmers, as well as work for soil. So today it's a very exciting day because it's a very young team who have uh, come into the biochar space and really moved with at pace and marking all getting to all the milestones that are very important. And it's a very interesting startup. Their name is KriSHE with a capital SHE, where the focus is on women-led movements. And joining today are Naga Sai and Anjali Rose, the founders of KriSHE Carbon. And I'll be handing over the stage to Naga and Anjali in a bit. For those watching us from various different platforms, thanks for joining. And the format is such that Naga and Anjali take the first 35 to 40 minutes presenting their journey, their slides. And then during this, if you have any questions, you can post it on whichever platform that you are watching from live. And we will take up those questions and put them in front of Naga and Anjali. And this is also being broadcasted live in YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. So whoever is joining from there can post your questions there. And we will also be open to take some questions in Hindi, while the predominant first half of the session will be in English. So thank you for joining, and I welcome Naga and Anjali. Naga and Anjali, it's a pleasure to have you both today, and we are very excited to learn more about your journey. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Anant, Tejas, and Shrekru team. I think it has been generally we are not. It is generally we are not like very public speaking co-founders or founders there, but I think it's a very interesting journey for us, and we would like to share. Like we will start with our background and why we ended up in what we are doing today, and maybe we'll little bit start with introduction of both of us and what we are doing, uska behind what is the reason, all of that. And yeah, after that maybe we'll walk you through the model that we are building at KriSHE and uska significance, all of that also we'll walk you through. So I think myself, I also have a very long name. So Naga Sai Krishna, and I come from South India by name. So Southern Andhra Pradesh, born and brought up there, and coming from a farming family. And I did my graduation. Then after that, worked in agri sector. Agriculture has been almost like 20-25 years of my life. I know agriculture, and at least I've seen it and also practically worked in it after my engineering for 6-7 years in another startup. एंड ये सब में मतलब ये सब करते हुए यही समझ में आया कि फर्स्ट सीइंग फ्रॉम माय ओन फादर challenges, because we also come from I also come from a very small holder family background only. हम लोग गुंटूरू एरिया में चिल्ली करते थे. अभी आई ऑल्सो सीन माई फादर स्ट्रगल्स, राइट. बचपन में इट यूज बी रियली गुड, रेन्स ऑन टाइम, सॉइल इज गुड, all of that are also good. The same chili farm right now is yielding one by half of what we used to have 10-15 years back. So those are the challenges that typically I have seen personally. And उस समय ज़्यादा कुछ कर नहीं पाता था, like because there is not much, I don't have awareness or tools also do something, right? Then after engineering, then I worked, and also then Telangana, Andhra, also have seen farmers across Jharkhand, Bihar, Odisha, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. So what I understood largely is more on India, like across India, smallholder farmers, the struggles are the same. Maybe farming, my father who is in South India in Andhra Pradesh, at least we are doing commercial chili. So it is a little bit well off in terms of incomes, but Baki Kisan ka, the typical scenario and incomes are very low, and the struggles have gone up, like in terms of climate, soil, all of that. So that is the context in which we started KriSHE also. For us, it was more on, can we improve soil health, and also do the climate, can farmers be the part of the climate change that is happening, where at least they can contribute in a way in which mitigation can happen at a farm level. I think that's the context in which we started KriSHE. And Anjali and me, both of us did a same fellowship. So that's where we know each other from last 3-4 years. And then we worked in different other projects also before starting KriSHE Carbon. And right now, it has been 18 months now since we started KriSHE Carbon. And a little bit of context here. And Anjali, you can introduce yourself, and then.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Anjali, and I come from Haryana, and Haryana is like mostly known for the agrarian background, and all everything like depends on the agriculture, right? And again, like I've seen agriculture like from my childhood, and like mostly like the Haryana farmers also like are well-off farmers, and farming is one of the say prestigious occupation to have like in our society, because the farmers are making a decent amount of money. And like when we're talking about the struggle, so it's not that much. But then when I traveled to 15 plus states across India, and I saw farming like from a very different angle. When I talk to a farmer from Odisha, or a farmer like near like in a Barabanki, and so the 80 rupees or the 90 rupees that I normalized so much, so it means a lot to the farmers. And and again the same time like the input cost and this thing, so it's a dining table conversations that we have. And these conversations are same across like the states when we are talking about in a smallholder farming family. And the root cause of the soil degradation, but we don't know what to do. So we know like it's a problem, but we don't know like again what to do. So that's how like we started, me and Naga. So we started working on few projects in 2021 with the farmers. And then finally like went through exploration phase of 4-5 years, and then finally realized like some of the hard realization that often come later at the stages when we are talking about the agri startups. Like if the farmers are the paying customers, then the agri startups like it scales like for a moment, but then like having this thing continuous, so it's very difficult. We have seen like so many agri startups struggling after raising like say hundreds of the millions of amount. But then when we again like the have the farmers on our side, so the if the paying capacity is a like real gap from the farming side. If we want to improve soil, and if we don't want farmers to pay, and so the payer has to be outside of the ecosystem, it doesn't have to the farmers. And we started like looking at the answer. So if we could find a pair outside the ecosystem, so explore different models. We also looked at a like at one point of time, so should we like register for a not for profit organization. But then again, the sustainability is a problem for not for profit, and there are so many restrictions, and hence like the answer we think like today is is carbon markets. So carbon markets can really solve for this, and hence like the KriSHE carbon started. So the entirety of the KriSHE carbon that we started, and answering one question is, if the farmer is adopting sustainable agriculture or any climate resilient agriculture practice on their farm, then farmer does not have to be the payer. So they should get the support at least for at least 3 4 years, where the behavior change is required and where they see the real benefits of the practice. Because if they are putting chemicals for 20 years, and like if there is a dip, or if they are not going to pay for this, and hence like we started working on the carbon markets, and today like we think that's the answer. Yeah. Then there are other angles that we'll walk you through like again in the next few minutes.
Yeah, thanks Anjali for that. And also other thing, we are not experts of carbon. So I did my electrical engineering and have no background in agriculture. And Anjali did masters in mathematics. And while we started KriSHE Carbon, we have no background of carbon. We are not a GHG experts. We are not that. The only thing we have is we understand farming maybe from our own personal context, and also the context of actual other hundreds and thousands of farmers that we actually worked in the past in last 5 6 years. That's the context, and we actually know okay need क्या है, like as in what is that actual problem that exists. Climate, soil, इसको solve करना है, farmer को pay नहीं करना है, as in that's the single things on which we started looking at. Because like how Anjali is mentioning, what we have seen is farmer, like 80% of Indian, as in 80% of farmers are smallholders, which means larger segment smallholders here India में, as in if you want to build for scale, then farming में तो paying capacity exist नहीं करते, apart from the inputs, fertilizers, all of that farmers buy for, because उनके लिए वो livelihood है. So that's what we have seen. That's where we started with farmer को pay नहीं करवाना है. Then we started looking at okay farmer pay नहीं करना, behavior change कम होना चाहिए. That's what we started looking at. And from a carbon point of view and from a soil health point of view, right, the only asset that farmer has is soil. मतलब उनके पास जितना जमीन है उतना ही feasible है जो भी करने के लिए. उसके उसके अलावा farmer को बोलेंगे कि you do something XYZ that might not fit into the current farming practices, right? So that's what we started evaluating. Okay, farmer के पास क्या है, जमीन है. Then what can be done in that piece of land that farmers have, right? And especially if you add a smallholder lens, then the limitation becomes like land is also limited. I only will have less than a hectare or a hectare of land. I think वही मेरे पास 2 2.5 एकड़ ही होंगे across larger farmers, or maybe 3 4 acres in some of the states like Madhya Pradesh, all of that. But इसमें मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? Like what can be done in that piece of land, right? Then carbon interventions we started looking into. क्या क्या carbon interventions है? मतलब in a piece of land for typically 4 carbon intervention कर सकता है. One is agroforestry, like as in the current set of land that you have, you can do agroforestry. You can also do, he or she can do regenerative agriculture, which is like more like you reduce your usage of chemicals, all of that. And then third piece is on biochar, like as in वही like paroli जो बच जाता है crop residue के साथ हम लोग biochar भी कर सकते हैं. Then the fourth intervention is enhanced rock weathering. मतलब this is a very new this one, which is not very, not science. Science is still evolving, things methodology is also evolving, but largely more like जो mining waste होता है, like वो which is rich in calcium magnesium, that can be put on the soil so that carbon sequestration can happen on the soil. And by theory it is useful in acidic soils where you can actually neutralize, and also you can, as carbon sequestration can happen much faster. Then we started evaluating all of these in four. Then we started wearing farmer hats and tell, will farmer adopt this? If we start doing it as a KriSHE farmer, ये farmer adopt करेगा क्या? That's what we started spending at least 6 7 months in talking to farmers, talking to existing carbon players, talking to registries, talking to carbon buyers, because हमारे पास solve करना है farmer का problem, not as a build a carbon company, all of that, right? That's what we started back working upon. And then we narrowed down to biochar, but I also will talk about हम वो बाकी 3 practices है हम लोग वो क्यों नहीं चुना, और why we are not doing at least today. So agroforestry, I think that becomes a limitation because farmer के लिए the 2 2.5 acres becomes the livelihood. And then we start it, then which also means if they are doing chilli or they are doing their उनका livelihood 2 2.5 लाख वो उसी से कमा रहा है. Putting agroforestry as a layer just for carbon doesn't make sense, because from at least from a smallholder point of view, adaptability becomes a challenge. Maybe a 10-15 acre farmer might adopt, keep telling I have 3-4 acre of land. I'll be able to dedicate it for agroforestry. Rest 12, I can still do commercial farming or whatever livelihood that they are able to make, right? So that doesn't make a lot of sense for us in doing it. And उसके लिए स्केल का and adaptability का challenge आ रहा था. And agroforestry by carbon revenues also will not derive anything much for a community in a because the cycles are longer. It's a 4-5 year cycle, and it's good for a planet though. I think everything on the urban, like everything apart from non-agriculture land, we should have more and more forestry. But from a farmer lens, it doesn't fit right for us. That's when we started looking, okay, maybe not the right thing to start at least the first layer. Then we started looking at region agri, but I think region agri, our understanding is it has contradictory to the incomes that farmers are earning, right? Today, the behavior is more like if I put more chemical, I get more output. If I do more pesticide, I get more output. Then, from a farmer point of view, adopting this telling ki you reduce your fertilizer, and that also that non-pesticide or this farming has a 3-4 year transition cycle. So, which also means in the 3-4 years yield will go low. Can I compensate with the carbon revenue? Answer looks no today. So that अगर मैं इंसेंटिव कर सकता हूँ क्या, मे बी मार्केटिंग इज द बेटर आंसर rather than telling carbon is a better answer there. As in अगर प्रोड्यूस को बेटर मार्केट कर सकता है, that's a better answer there. That's when we started ki maybe, and also you need to have a control of package of practices. When I mean package of practices, if I'm going to a rice paddy farmer, if I'm going to a chilli farmer and telling हम लोग region agri करेंगे आपके साथ, अगर हम maybe let's start working vegetable farmer, all of that, then I also need to have capacity to as an organization to support farmer from end to end. लाइक जो बीज से लेके हार्वेस्ट तक अगर मैं सपोर्ट कर पाऊंगा, then I will be able to make we will be able to make some intervention there or build some carbon model there. Otherwise we couldn't see a model in which that is figuring out, because otherwise at the end of the day you either compromise on farmer side of things or you either compromise on the carbon side of things, which doesn't net doesn't make any sense from an impact to climate and farmer, right? So then we are like maybe not the right place there. Then we started 2 other interventions. Their biochar, I think, rightly fits into all of these pieces where farmer can adopt easily, because आज का दिन में जो उनके पास biomass है उसका ज्यादा कुछ यूज नहीं है. मतलब farmer either is throwing it or a little bit selling happening, or they are using it for their own self consumption. I think largely यही 3 use cases है. ये कुछ जला लेते हैं खेत पे, or they use it for their domestic consumption or some of it in a cattle feed, or the third use case is they might be selling it, they are selling it in some places for some of the cement or nearby factory or industrial consumption. So these are the 3 use cases that exist, but in net इसका कुछ वैल्यू बन सकता है मे बी, एंड सॉइल का भी इम्पैक्ट आ सकता है. लाइक एज इन सॉइल, इफ बायोचर इज पुट बैक टू सॉइल, आई थिंक that has a really good soil health improvement, all of those. So that exist. Then rock weathering, still the science is evolving, and we could not honestly, I think we could not say better MRV systems by ourselves. We don't have the strength at least today where we can build that MRV system quickly and get to that. एंड फार्मर को भी उतना इजीली बायोचार समझाना इजी है, बिकॉज आपका ही बायोमास वी आर कन्वर्टिंग, एंड दे अंडरस्टैंड देयर सेल्फ बायोमास विच इज ऑफ सेल्फ इज बीइंग कन्वर्टेड एंड पुटिंग इट बैक टू द सॉइल. So that is much easy to explain to a farmer, rather than telling we are getting some outside this one. Maybe that's when we felt comfortable at least to start with biochar, and all the pieces fits into this. And carbon angle also ticks largely because it's a visible form of carbon. मैंने इतना biochar बनाया, ये lab report है with the quality of it, then maybe I can easily correlate to the carbon, or I can, it's easily provable that I can easily prove, हम लोग प्रूव कर सकता है कि ये बायोचार में इतना कार्बन है, इतना क्रेडिट्स मिल सकता है, इतना कार्बन रिमूवल हो गया, ऑल ऑफ दैट, राइट? So that looks from a carbon point of view fairly there. Technology will evolve, MRVs will evolve, methodologies will evolve, but at least fair bit of confidence हमको भी आया कि भाई इसमें कुछ कर सकता है. Then the challenge is then how do you solve it on the same soil, right? Like as in same जहाँ biomass उगता है, because for us inherently soil health improvement also is what we are trying to solve for. So can we build a model where जहाँ biomass उगता है उसी पे हम लोग biochar बना सकते हैं, उसी से then one carbon removal happens on the same farm, and then biochar is also left there on the same piece of land so that farmer will club it back easily. That's when we started looking, and we just started with that only. और कुछ approach तो भी है ही नहीं. After shortlisting and starting this, I think it took us 6-7 months in 2024 to narrow down to and start where we are doing. And end of 2020, February 2025 is where we actually started doing this model on ground. And then luckily, I think from the past, all of that work we have done, we know people in the not-for-profit space in these organizations we reach out to. I think we reached out to Sini, which is a Tata Trust offspring in Gujarat, and their they're lucky enough to tell, okay, maybe you can pilot with us. Let's start doing it in Gujarat with cotton farmers. And that's when we started our journey with one kiln in Banaskantha, Sabakantha in Gujarat. And right now it has been almost 15 months there. And right now we are operational between Gujarat, Maharashtra, Telangana, and Madhya Pradesh also. So that's when our spread out or our learning also has been. We have learned a little bit. I think there is a lot that we need to learn in this space, right, as of now. Yeah, I think that's the overall thing of our journey and where we are doing what. Yeah. Quickly, we'll walk you through the model, the deck we have in terms of explaining what do we exactly do. मतलब जो कृषि कार्बन as an organization हम लोग अभी क्या करते हैं and where are we, all of that also. Anjali, you want to do the presentation? Yeah. I'll present the screen. Maybe you can do the presentation.
Yeah.
Screen visible?
Yeah.
Yes, it's visible.
We'll go in the present mode.
Maybe you can go into the full screen mode, Naga.
Sorry.
नहीं उसका नीचे का डॉट उसका नीचे यस यस
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes. So like Naga mentioned, so it's not like that on the first day we realized that we wanted to do biochar, or like we just wanted to do the carbon. So carbon side of the things that we realized is the pair has to be the outside of the ecosystem, right? And the biochar thing we realized is out of so many activities, we looked at a region project which cost around 80 lakhs just for the feasibility study and get the PTT done. And then you get the carbon credits after 2 years, so that is also fine, somehow we can manage. But just to make that project work, you'll have to work with 10 lakhs farmers. And this was not a like very hard realization, I'll say. This was very easy realization, because we realized like the practice we are talking about and 10 lakhs farmers on a scale adopting like that practice, so it's not something that can be done at this stage by us. And we can have like the as much as dMRV we are talking about, but to all the farmers we have talked like in the past, who have been the part of this journey in building of what KriSHE is today and still like contributing. So we realize this dMRV and just one app cannot solve for the traceability or the integrity that is required in the carbon space. And hence we thought of like something physical, something that can be seen. One was the trees, but if everyone grows the trees, and we are going back like say 300 500 years back, and that's like a happy situation, but that's like just reversing the why we cut the trees in the first place, right? So it's for the food. So if a farmer has like 1 acre, so we cannot like ask farmer to just agricultural land just to like grow trees and just get the carbon benefits and not do the whatever the staple that they're doing like on their farm. And so we designed like the carbon removal, so entire project that we have around the rural economy. We started with a farmer with 1 acre of land, and then we moved to the next part, because when we talk to a farmer, so one thing that we had done like earlier was the something that requires the minimum amount of the behavior change, and the minimum amount of the behavior change was this is a post harvest activity. So the farmer harvests the crop, take the yield to the home, and then leaves the agri residue there itself. And there is not much of the behavior that is required for the first time for the farmer to do, because if we can give like all the support to the farmer, if we can produce, if we can process the agri residue on the farm itself, and so that farmer, and if the farmer does not have to pay, so farmer will be like, okay, so you can do this. And that's how we started. And who will be doing this was the another question. When we did our first pilot, so it was like again in the Banaskantha, it's a tribal belt, Danta tribe. And there was a resource that was placed by us, and we're just trying to figure out with some of the quantities or the clinics that we have, which is like a mobile clinic. Then some of the like the youth from the rural village itself, so they came up, so they were like, okay, we can do this, so do you need our help or do you need any support, so we can do this. And that's how the climapreneur model like started forming. So we tried like this thing in across 5 villages, and there was someone or other, like any progressive farmer who had had like 1-2 acres of land and was looking for additional income sort of, or already doing like the sum of the jobs. And that's how the climapreneur model, that what we call today is rural climate entrepreneur, that's how like this model formed. So whenever we are talking about like some intervention on the farm level, so even in the Gujarat, so we are operating in Talaja and we are also operating in Banaskantha, but the socio-economic challenges, so it's completely different. The cultural challenges are different. So it's better like someone from the farmers itself is coming and the convincing the other farmers that you should do it, rather than us or the someone outsider going and telling them what to do. Because farmers have been doing farming like for generations, and if you tell them like you just change the activity, you do this, so that's not how it works. From the previous experience too, and from the pilot that we did, and we expanded our climapreneur model like in the second year. Now we have like 30 plus climapreneur, and it's a very simple model. So one farmer knows like 150 farmers, fellow farmers in the village, and that farmer takes the interest of the other farmer. So okay, I produced biochar, or I'm going to produce biochar in my field, are you interested in producing the biochar? And that farmer onboard the farmers. So maybe like it starts with the 15 farmers, then more farmers come. And it's not like it's a very unfamiliar concept also. That's what we realized in Gujarat, because biochar was already used in the some of the tribal belts, and it's called kolsa. And even in the like some of the regions, farmers, like whenever this kolsa or this residue, they put back into the, in terms of ash also, like it goes back to the field whenever FIM, in the form of FIM or some mixture. So it's not very sort of difficult for the farmers to understand in some of the geographies, because they are already aware of it. So it's like this farmer, so he or she can work with say 80 to 100 farmers and produce the biochar for them. So that's how like this climapreneur model came in. So so whatever goes back to the farmer, so there are claims in the carbon market, so what goes back to the farmers. And whenever we are talking about 1 acre of land, or like even the 5 acres of land, if the farmer is not doing anything on the land, so the hardly what you can pay back is will be like around 3,000. It will be from 1,000 to 3,000, and this is like something that does not make much of the difference. But if the other farmer is taking the responsibility of executing this climate action or this sustainable practice on the field, so this farmer has to get paid. And the same philosophy like this climapreneur, so they have been paid by us like 4.5 lakhs over the 100 days that we have. So this is like sort of real income, because if we look at the other jobs that are there on the village level, so other jobs do not pay like this amount and in this uh, say the period of time. But this is a real payment, and this is the what we have paid. And 3,000, so we have like the 100 working days, because biochar is very seasonal. Like for example, it's a say if the same farmer is growing the cotton and chili, so those are the like the cases which are exceptional, but otherwise it's a very seasonal sort of thing. But we realized like whenever someone is working, so average income per day that the climapreneurs are earning is 3,000, which is like baseline income. Any sort of labor or any sort of the work, agricultural labor or construction work or any labor they are doing, so which is like 500 per day. So it's a like a good motivation sort of, and that like kept us going. The second part that I would like to like talk about is so one is like how do you make farmers believe that we are working with them and we are not working against, is like the most important part for this is biochar program. And if you are talking about like any program, and so we tried like so many things like on ground. So basically farmers will also ask you question, why are you doing this for free, and how do you make the concept of the carbon credits clear so that they are aligned on this. So if you do not have to pay, if the person who is doing is getting paid, so someone is paying, right? So how do you make the concept of the carbon credits like very clear? Other thing is, because like this is also like some of the additional activities that we had is like mixing of the biochar with FIM, and then like this goes back to the soil. So the our like field team, so came up with a very good example. But when we are working in Gujarat, so most of the farmers, they give away their residue to the boilers because they take care of the cost, which is like around 1500 per acre. So they're like, they are doing it, like they are freeing up and they are making me clean my say field. So why would I work with you? So one of the field team member that is there like working in Talaja, so they came up with this concept, like whenever you grow like what's your biggest asset, so that's like soil. So most of the farmers answered and they're like, okay, whenever you grow a crop, or like when you grow something on the like the crop on the soil, so but where does it take like this things from the nutrients and everything? And they were like, okay, soil. And they're like, okay, so your soil is like a bank, because you're sort of, you're just producing on the soil, right? So if you are giving away your crop residue, then you are also giving away giving away your soil. And that is the thing that we have used like over and over again with so many farmers, and farmers relate so much. And like now in the recent conversation, we had a visit from investor, and we asked, and he also asked the farmer, okay, why are you doing this? Then he explained, okay, because the soil is something is which is like my bank account. If there is no soil, I won't be able to grow, and hence like I want to put everything that my soil grows back into my soil. So it's the kind of like for any project, so maybe like I can write a PDD, I can make a dMRV system, I can make so many different things. But how do you like get into the behavior change that we are talking about, and how do you just really convince? And this doesn't come from one conversation. It's not like the first time like farmers asked some question and the team came up with, okay, I'll tell this story. So it's not like that. So we get some hints, we get some stories, and just we just try to like experiment and see like the how the farmers are reacting. Yeah. Then again, like the biochar based, like the carbon removals and everything like on the carbon side, so it was in place, and that's something like that we have worked in last 14 months, is building the farmers trust and like making biochar really as a solution. Now we are partnering with one of the agricultural university uh, to see like how the biochar mixed in the different proportion can make like the soil better and better. Yeah. Naga, you can explain more about the process, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anjali. And just to clarify or add in this, climapreneur is what our model is also built on it. And this 4.5, just adding to what Anjali told, this 4.5 lakhs rupees, 4.5 lakhs of income in 110 days is being delivered to one particular climapreneur out of 30, one particular climapreneur who is our top earning climapreneur. They have made around 4.5 lakh. So that sort of, agar aap what we are trying to see is it's sort of any other scale, mass scale employment program that exists in India. Maybe today it's called like Manrega एक है और agri labor है. उसका equivalent क्या है? Like as in अगर 110 days अगर कोई काम किया, how much they can particularly make in that baseline, right? So we are looking at that thing and we are like, okay, maybe what? Maybe Manrega pays 250 per day, और अगर मैं daily wages पे भी जाऊँगा, I put 600 or 700 max, then I make around 77,000, 80,000, right? But this sort of income is 4 5 times more than what the current baselines, highest baseline that exists today. And that's what we are trying to create. हमारा मतलब main objective is also, can we build these climate partners and they can aggregate the biomass activity to the other farmers nearby and they can make money out of it, right? So that all of this is paid via carbon. I think for us the thing is today we are paying it, we are covering it because for them, for the people on the ground, climate partner, we have to pay regularly. Every week we have to settle the payments. So we are doing it, but this is the real income that we are delivered. And this is the promise that we see it as in हम लोग अगर बोल रहे हैं कि rural economy my as in how do you pass more and more value back and also mitigating the agriculture income risk, right? ये income irrespective of how much I earn from the current farming or the land I have, ये फिर भी बन सकता है as and when this model scales, right? So that's what we are trying to do. And मे बी फॉर अस इट इज मोर लाइक अगर 10 लाख तक अगर एक क्लाइमाप्रनर को पहुंचा सकता है, देन इट्स मोर लाइक ओके, हम भी बोल सकते हैं कि हाँ एक मिलियनियर बना सकता है. सो दैट्स द ड्रीम ऑफ इट. बट लेट्स सी हाउ मेनी मोर पीपल वी कैन make like as in how many more people or rural enterprise we can build in this, and ये sustainable भी है. It's not like एक year बनाया next year नहीं बनाएंगे, ऐसा तो नहीं है, because biomass will come every year and this intervention can happen every year as long as the only thing we need to figure out is ये carbon कौन खरीदेगा and how do we get the approval, audit, issuance and also get the carbon revenues. So on that piece right now where we are, I think we are happy to share that last 10 days back, we got our first issuance of credits also on the biochar model that we are building it. So we got around first set of 2000 plus credits that we have got issuance done for. And also on the same model, like हम लोग जो भी बोल रहे थे, like decentralized on the farm model है, इसको biochar बनता है, and a biochar the data gets into, because another challenge is rural India, decentralized quality कैसा maintain होगा, right? So quality, we have our own internal SOP, and also the platform that we have works offline, all of that, so that dMRV जहाँ signal भी नहीं है फिर भी the data is captured, because data capture is most important piece in the carbon this one, right? And also we have cluster site wise lab reports which based on that we have that quality of biochar all of it tested, and उसका basis पे ही हम लोग ये कार्बन क्रेडिट्स क्लेम किया था. एंड इन आवर प्रोसेस आई थिंक या दिस इज द प्रोसेस इन द होल थिंग्स दैट हैपेंस. जो रेसिड्यू सेम फार्म में आता है, दिस इज द मिशन दैट वी आर बिल्डिंग एज इन टेक. एटलीस्ट द वी स्टार्टेड विद द लो टेक विच इज लो हैंगिंग टुडे. कोंटी की आर्टिजनल बायोचार है. दिस इज द टेक्नोलॉजी दैट इज रेडिली अवेलेबल, एटलीस्ट अफोर्डेबल टू स्टार्ट इन फार्म लैंड, राइट? हम लोग इसको केट टू केट मूव कर सकता है. वी हैव पुट लिटिल बिट अराउंड इसको थोड़ा wheels and it so that we made it mobile so that it can be carried farm to farm wherever the residue exists. So this is we carry it with a small tractor, all of that, move it around. Bike se bhi in some cases bike, or in some cases bullock cart, all of different modes of transport it can be transported to. And in the biomass that exists in that particular farm, जितना भी वो एक एकड़ पे लैंड पे that can be produced once and that can be deployed there on the same farm, so that फार्मर के लिए जो बायोचार है उसी सेम खेत में रहेगा, एंड फार्मर मिक्स इट विद FIM और कंपोस्ट दैट दे हैव अवेलेबिलिटी, एंड उसके साथ वो मिट्टी में भी मिलाएगा. सो वी हैव द प्रूफ ऑफ वन, वी हैव दैट ओके सॉइल इंप्रूवमेंट हम लोग जो स्टार्ट किया था वो अभी हो रहा है, सच में हो रहा है, एंड वी आर एबल टू ट्रेस इट बैक टू एवरी बैच दैट वी प्रोड्यूस. These are the steps that happens. I think residue aggregate हो जाता है, biochar बन जाता है. Is the climapreneur does this work, and then farmer puts it back with charged, मतलब वो charged as in हम लोग charging process बोलते हैं इसको. And farmer को हम लोग mixing, मतलब mix it with FIM, store it for 10-15 days and put it back to the soil. The process happens on the farm, and ये सब data जो भी हम लोग बोल रहे हैं वो capture हो जाता है. And then as an entity, climapreneur does a lot of groundwork, and we select them, we train them, and उसके बाद जो भी उनका डेटा कैप्चर होता है, देन वी डू दैट इंटरनल ऑडिट रेडी, गेट द ऑडिट डन, issue the credit, sell that, and overall to make this sustainability, right? Because climapreneur का हम लोग पे किया था. In our current model, I think we can we have the proof and we can claim that at least जो carbon में main thing around how will community or how will farmer benefit, right? At least we are able to pass on almost 40 to 45% of the credit value directly. Directly as in that's a direct income to the climapreneurs today. So that's what we are trying to build for, and we also are figuring out farmer के लिए और कुछ incentive दे सकता है so that the model can become more adaptable. That's what we are trying, because there are rest of the cost, all of that, and after that we also have to cover our costs. So that's where the whole model is there. 50% largely goes back to the community. 50% is where the carbon, sales, audit, all of that cost, and our own sustainability comes in today. Yeah, I think end-to-end hand-holding. We also, because ये सब climapreneur automatically तो नहीं बन जाएंगे. As in, they have to be. We have to select them from the villages, do that awareness at least among the climapreneurs, farmers, all of that. So we largely partner with organizations. Today we are partnering in Gujarat. We have two partners, CSPC and CINI, Tata Trust organizations affiliated. Madhya Pradesh we have AKRSP. In Maharashtra, we started working in this January. We have AGF as a partner, Agri Entrepreneurship Growth Foundation as a partner. And in Telangana, we are working. Telangana, a little bit of, we started in Karnataka, but that didn't, it's just a small experiment we did. But Telangana, we started doing with chilli residue, we are doing with Griffith. So these are the partners that we have where we work in their operational area, and we select the climapreneur, we train them. And then वो जो भी हम लोग मैंने process दिखाया था, they do that work happening. So that is where the true decentralization comes from. and this model is quickly replicable across. And we also have a sales partnership deal with a French-based company now, so that we are aiming for a much larger project in next 5 years. For us, it was more on typically scale it to 1 million credits using this particular method in next 5 years, and we have that sales partnership ready with the partner that we have today. So that's the piece that we have to get it covered so that we can actually be scalable, right? Yeah, and other piece that evolves is also, I think, biochar जो बनाया था उसको it has to go back, and we also have to experiment, because the other thing that is happening in this space, I think, what is that exact impact on the soil? How much does actually biochar benefit? I think as of now, farmer have told their own, मतलब अपन like they shared their own experiences in terms of maybe vegetative growth थोड़ा better दिखता है इसमें, मतलब wherever they have put biochar and they have not applied biochar versus there is a plant growth difference. Vegetative growth is a little bit better, but other claims around soil, all of that, today typically we are not, we don't know today, to be honest, the answer. Because yield from last year, because there is no baseline, no, agriculture from previous year to year, yield improvement could be due to 100 and 150 other factors, right? Like as in climate would have been better, rainfall would have been better, or water would have been low, all of those multiple factors. So वो baseline बनता नहीं है. Maybe we have to do it in the same field and do actually that control study where एक plot में डाल के with biochar, without biochar treatment, all of it, and we started doing it with a little bit more rigorous way with the Anand Agriculture University in Gujarat, with NDDB, all of that. So that study we started, we'll know that results in maybe 5-6 months now, and we'll be able to publish that once we have those results, at least on the cotton field, biochar, whatever is made from the cotton residue. When it put back to the soil and farmer grows back cotton, what is that exact implication, all of that. So that is a work in progress today, to be honest. And yeah, I think we covered largely the other pieces around it. Yeah. I think this is largely the model that we are building. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
just to add like one of the things. So what we are also trying to, since we have the Naga mentioned, since we have the sales partnership in the place and this thing. So one is the like the climapreneur model, but also like we are trying to. So the most of the first partnership that came in with the grassroots organization or the NGOs was like a common goal that we are creating the rural green jobs. So we are also working in the sustainable agriculture, and whatever is the carbon revenue from the particular cluster, so we are going to put back the same carbon revenue so that there is adoption. So say if there were 200 farmers this time, so there'll be like 400 farmers for the next time. And the similar thing is like for the goes for the FPOs, because when we look at the overall FPO ecosystem also, like in this space Indian context, so then there are very like a, you can name it, so the FPOs who are making like the revenue like say 10 crores or like say 1 crores and this thing. So the goal would be how do we like sort of democratize like this thing and sort of making the carbon markets accessible, because we learned this process like in 14 months. So from the first introduction call to the issuance of the credit, so it took 14 months of the effort. So there is time efforts also, and there are financial resources also that were there like in like overall registering the project and this thing. And if like there are FPOs who are already doing, because the 2 or 3 FPOs who have already tried biochar on the field without the carbon say without the carbon revenue, and they were not able to sustain the overall like the efforts of like doing this thing. So how do we enable like that sort of ecosystem so that it can become like sort of a behavior change overall over the period of say 5 years, and the like for the 1 million farmer. Yeah, so that's like the additional piece that we are exploring.
Yeah, and our goal also going forward is more on how do we mainstream, उसको mainstream कैसे बना सकते हैं, right? अगर हम लोग दोनों और the limited team that we have, maybe 10, 15, 20 people doing it, I think it can't become a mainstream. So that what we understand, अभी तक जो समझ में आया था कि उसको in startup language, all of that, right? We call it as a product market fit, right? मतलब PMF मिला नहीं मिला. I think at least as of now it looks like मिल गया, because we have proven all the points in the PMF. And we will realize the sales revenue and unit economics, all of that. But we have that PMF abhi mil gaya tha. What is the value to the farmer? That's clear. We'll be able to state in an easy language, not telling that complicated carbon, all of that. वो समझ में आया. And then to a climapreneur who is doing it, it's a very clear value proposition. उनके लिए 4 लाख, अगर minimum to minimum 2 लाख तो बन जाता है. As in 2 लाख वो बना सकता है. And that is also not a peak season in which they get a lot of agriculture work, right? Because harvesting तक उनको कुछ ना कुछ काम मिल जाता है, but post harvesting is where they have a lot of free time also. उनका free time में like maybe 2 लाख कमा सकते हैं. That's a clear value proposition. जो interested है, not everyone in the village obviously will like to do that, right? So whoever is interested in doing, they will do that. And वो एक value proposition मिलेगा. Then carbon buyer who is buying it, I think for them what we also understood is if they are able to see clear impact built into your model, embedded into model, they will be able to, they are able to offer the price. But you have to be very transparent in telling these, my technology has this limitation, my technology will only work for this, but I also have a real impact. So that way I think it works better. And today, at least in Indian ecosystem, not too many buyers exist for this. So it has to be someone outside today, at least. Hopefully we'll have more and more Indian buyers also coming in. But at least as on today, from our experience, there is not too many, there is no Indian buyer who buys these credits today. So that ecosystem will evolve. But as you build this model, I think we're also upgrading on the technology which actually works for this, because Kontiki also has its own limitations in terms of the way the technology is right now, right? It will have a little bit of emissions. I think सबसे ज़्यादा, I think wherever we go, I think the question that comes is इसमें भी तो what is different from open field burning, right? ओपन फील्ड बर्निंग में वो जो बायोचार बनता है वो कुछ बनता ही नहीं है. आई थिंक उसमें सिर्फ ऐश दिखता है. इसमें देर इज बायोचार एंड दैट एटलीस्ट वर्क्स फॉर टिपिकल सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ रेसिड्यूज लाइक कॉटन, चिल्ली, एंड व्हेन मॉइस्चर इज मेंटेन्ड वेल इट वर्क्स वेल. मतलब इसका थोड़े 5-6 स्टेप्स है, अगर वो अच्छे से करेंगे बायोचार तो इसमें बन जाता है एटलीस्ट ऑफ ए डिसेंट क्वालिटी. द लैब टेस्टिंग वी हैव इज अराउंड 75 to 76% of organic carbon is there in the cotton residues that we have done. Chilli also has the typical range around 75 to 70, 70 to 72, 70%, something like that, right? Then I think corn cobs we tested, it is looks more promising just from a carbon point of view, organic carbon point of view, just with the Kontiki technology, all of that. So those are the residues, all of that can be experimented with. And हम लोग इसको थोड़ा mainstream करेंगे, open source, as in we share our learnings, get more and more people to do this and adopt more and more people on the execution side, and we layer it with the right set of technology, right set of carbon, like in terms of audit, right set of carbon sales, because that's a piece where there is a lot of technicalities and not every person sitting in a village, either if as a farmer or a climapreneur or a FPO or a NGO, can't adopt to this, because that's where the complication lies in. So we want to simplify that piece with largely with our own efforts and technology. And जो भी adopt करना चाहेंगे, we are trying to open, you know, like it has its own boundaries in terms of feedstock, all of that. I think that धीरे धीरे will evolve. And we are also a little bit working on the technology in terms of क्वांटिटी को और थोड़ा बेटर कैसा बना सकता है, उसमें कंटिन्यूअस प्रोडक्शन कैसा निकाल सकता है. टुडे इट्स अ बैच प्रोडक्शन, कैन वी मेक इट कंटिन्यूअस? ऑल ऑफ दोस पीसेस विल कम इन, बट आई थिंक वी विल हैव अ बेटर आंसर फॉर ऑल ऑफ दोस मे बी इन 12-15 months for now. But as of now it works and वो खेत में बना सकता है. Yeah, that's the overall thing that we have in business.
Wonderful. Thanks, Naga. Thanks, Anjali. Thanks for walking us through the journey. And I think your very clear process and clarity of what you wanted to do and how and why you wanted to do was very clear. That I really like I really like the step that you took, especially to have a payer outside of the village, outside of the farmer, and base all your thesis on that, and then see how to make it happen. I think that's a very, very nice, interesting way to look at it. I do have a bunch of questions, but I'm sure viewers also have a lot of questions. So I wanted to tell everyone that, hey, if you have a question, this is the time to either put it in the chat box, or I think Bibhishan would have changed the settings so that you could also unmute and ask your own question directly to Naga and Anjali. For folks who are watching it from a different platform other than Zoom, you can post your question on the chat box, and our team will help collate all the questions and bring them to us so that we can ask Naga and Anjali. So yeah, you can go ahead and post your questions on the chat window, or raise a hand and unmute yourself. While you do that, I just wanted to ask a question of mine, Naga. I mean, both of you can probably unmute because this would be open thing. I also wanted to ask, what are all the feedstocks that you have explored, right? Because I think you haven't touched very deeply on that other than the cotton stock. So what is the observation on which states which feedstock? And also, since Anjali is from Haryana, have you also tried parali or the paddy straw in Kontiki? Because that's a very frequently asked question, ki how do we best make biochar from paddy straw in a very low cost setting, because it's very hard to handle the very low bulk density blindness.
Yeah, so the current feedstock is like we started with the cotton and the chili feedstock. So cotton is like mainly in the Vidarbha region in Maharashtra and the coastal belts of Gujarat. Like we are working in Bhavnagar and Amreli. So that's where like the cotton feedstock. But we are also working now with the corn cobs, which is also like a waste, and coconut husk, which is always like the like sort of responsible for the fire in the urban dump yard, and the coffee husk. So this is the waste like that we are trying. But active is three feedstocks: cotton, corn cobs, and the chili feedstock. And on the like using the paddy and the wheat thing, so we are trying to make a like distributed system work for the paddy and wheat, because in Kontiki we can have like some feedstock which is like woody in nature, and it won't get burnt off like as long as we add like this thing. So this the mid-tech system that we are coming up with, the again the distributed system. So hopefully like we'll be able to treat the wheat and the paddy feedstocks too.
Wonderful.
Just
Thank
to
you.
answer on that, paddy quantity में तो नहीं बन सकता. At least the honest answer is this, because the thickness, as in it's very delicate to the way it is, right? I think it can't be that direct the quantity process that we are doing. And also, I think paddy residue has other use cases which the biomass problem solve karna instead of taking it to biochar, right? Maybe from technicality, chemical point, like as in the technicality point of view, also, it's better to use it in some other this one, either a cattle feed out of it or have a some other application out of it, because it can be if you have to make that to matlab furniture or all other applications, right? It's easy to pack and put it in some form of storage, right? So those can be explored with paddy, but the honest answer, I think paddy is at least more of a systemic level problem today. And maybe one technology, not an answer there. Maybe, yeah, we have to figure out other things, like how I like telling distributed, like different sort of technology has to deal for a paddy to biochar problem. But paddy as a biomass has to be explored in different other forms.
Wonderful. Can you also touch upon chili on because it's new, at least for me. So I presume
Yeah.
once the crop is finished and it has dried out, it's when you unearth all the chili plants, bring them
Yeah,
to
we
a
do dry chili. Dry chili is like where, yeah, I come from Andhra. I think you also know a little bit of chili cultivation in this Guntur belt, and Madhya Pradesh is also another belt there. And Telangana has this Warangal. It's a very focused cluster grown crop in commercialization in at least 4 or 5 pockets of the country in a commercial way, like as in large scale, all of that. So dry chili is what we do. And interestingly, for dry chili, there is no other use case apart from burning, because animal तो नहीं खाएगा उसको, because the all of the properties of the feedstock. And today with LPG, all of that, there is not too much of domestic consumption apart from the fuel also. उसको there is no other application, like उसको जलाना है और कुछ तो है ही नहीं. Either they mulch it sometimes, but mulching also has the same carbon point of view. It has the same consequences in terms of, but उसमें pest infestation, because chili also has pest largely like viral, like pest attack, like with virus, thrips, all of that. So उसको अगर mulching भी किया, the disease or some part of it might be still the same, right? So then the only option that is left to a farmer is either you burn it, and commercialization of chili feedstock has not happened at least at today. And I think with the Kontiki technology, it is working better, and it actually makes perfect. I think it's better than some of the properties of it is better than cotton in terms of like example, bulk density is much better. The organic content is slightly the similar range, but the process of making is much faster. The batch production cycle cotton takes 90 to 100 minutes. Chili is 60 to 70 because the biomass is uniform, and it is not spread out in terms of the branches, all of that, right? So those are the observations that at least we have initially from this. And we are the first ones, I think, maybe to try chili in terms of Kontiki, getting the lab testing, or also trying to get the credits for all of that. So let's see how far we'll go. But this is one of the things that we started doing. And interestingly, with changing pattern of ethanol, all of that, right? Maybe demand for ethanol growing up, corn crops has become the mainstream in some of the places. So we started doing, can we do corn in terms of corn crops, all of that. But observation there was it takes longer cycle to actually produce. Like chili is faster, 60, 70 minutes. Cotton is 90, 100 minutes per batch. When I mean the Kontiki batch, and corn crops is much longer. 200 to, as in it takes 4 or 5 hours sometimes for the sort of batch, all of that. So every crop has different behavior in terms of feedstock for the, like, to biochar. But yeah, that has been our experience, at least practically doing that.
Very interesting insights. Sorry. Very interesting insights, Naga. Thanks for sharing those. There are a few questions from in the chat window. If any one of you wants to ask the question directly, please hit the raise your hand option in Zoom. I'll call you out and you can ask. And meanwhile, I wanted to put one question to you. How challenging has it been to address the seasonality aspect in all of the operations? Because I really like your climapreneur model, but again, is that also becoming seasonal? Are there any uh, apprehensions for the climapreneur because he's getting work or job for 100, 120 or 150 days a year, and the feedstock is also seasonal, there are various seasons. So how important or challenging has seasonality been so far in your journey?
Yeah, seasonality, I think, right question. As you scale up this model, seasonality will become that exact issue, right? Like आप इसको predict कैसे करेंगे कि कितना टन बना सकता है, because it's not uniform. If it rains on the field, then you can't do production that day, right? Like versus a centralized model. So seasonality exists, and we are built around that only. So in our assumptions, in all the planning that we do in terms of financials से लेके ground से लेके सब कुछ, we do only for 100 days. So 100 days across year, because we assume these are all one time crops that they grow farmers. Cotton करेंगे तो एक ही बार करेंगे, chilli भी करेंगे तो एक ही बार करेंगे in the areas that we are working on. Maybe corn might be multiple seasons. We need to understand that. But largely once a year, 100 days is what we also commit to climapreneur. And generally the climapreneur model that we were working, they're already doing some other jobs. Like as in one of the example is the Paresh Bhai from Gujarat, right? One of our climapreneur there doing. He's a tailor. मतलब वो tailoring का काम करता है. So उनके लिए जो जितना बन जाता है tailoring, and he has 2 cattle and he doesn't have agriculture land. So जितना वो उससे कमा सकता है, then he does biochar का season में he does daytime ये वाला, बाकी जो काम है वो घर वाला मैनेज कर लेता है, so that he has some other activity engaged. It's not, we also don't commit full time employment because वो होगा नहीं. We only commit कि आपको इतना income potential आप बना सकते हो, and ये हर साल आएगा. It's coming this year, it will come next year. It's not like employment fixed वाला, वो वाला पे is not what we commit also. So it has seasonality. And the way we are also trying to understand and address is more on have more units placed in a particular region, telling rather than aggregating feedstock, because aggregating feedstock at the end of the day comes with a lot of then हम लोग एक feedstock inventory management company बन जाएंगे, ये नहीं बन पाएंगे. मतलब जो भी सोच रहे हैं, right? Have more units, have more climapreneurs in a particular village. Maybe if 100 acre exists, then put 10 so that वो जल्दी बना सकता है, right? So those are sort of the answers that we are trying to look at in terms of intensification, all of that. Then how do you mobilize farmers quickly so that वो 10 दिन का ही gap है window, you deploy some 50 60 units and just get the done, right? So you sort of manage those logistics so that farmer के लिए जो use case है biomass to biochar वो बन रहा है. So those are sort of that answer that we are trying to look at. In some cases where there is a larger acreage, all of that, maybe aggregation makes sense little bit, like as in अगर वो एक patch of land पे 200 300 बन रहा है, then maybe aggregate. But those are the models, both models exist. But largely we are looking at answer more of deploy more cleans and do more of this one. So that's the answer that we are trying to do with seasonality. Yeah. And climate, again, barish aata hai, nothing can be done. So you just stop it and wait for the moisture to get back to this.
Makes sense. I wanted to take the question from Damodara Sridhar from the chat. He says, good effort. I would like to know whether you are pre-treating biochar, because unless that's done, you may come across negative results because of its application. So I think, and a wrapper around that question is, since it's happening in a very decentralized way, is there any SOPs that you give to a climapreneur for charging, enrichment, or like charging the biochar?
So mixing happens like in a part of the process that we do. Biochar banna is not where the whole object is, right? For us, again, going it back to the soil properly treated. So for us, the mandatory process in the system that we track also, हमारा end use case जब biochar FIM के साथ मिलके in the combinations today it's 1:1. We're also trying Jeevamrut, all of it, but वो कितना because availability of it becomes a challenge, right? So the most common available thing that is the farmyard manure जो किसान का पास होता है. Today we mix it with 1:1 and then they leave it and then that is put back to the field. We track our end use case till mixing is happening. मतलब वो कितना quantity of FIM लेके आया था वो मिला था and that's where our process ends. Like we track it till date. And just to answer, yeah, treating is happening without that. Also, other thing, beauty of the decentralized model is from a 1 acre piece of land, right? From a smallholder, this will never become a, matlab, am I overdoing it, right? As in, am I applying so much of quantity of biochar that I will have negative implications of. For example, typical 1 acre chilli or cotton generally generates around 500 kgs of biochar. So that is not a maximum quantity. मतलब मैं 400-500 kg बनाया था, then I mix it with FM. That much FM generally is available. So वो उसी रेशियो में maybe 1 ton पूरा biochar plus FM मिला के वो they are putting it back to the soil. And that 400 is not too much of quantity because general recommended application rates are around 4-5 tons for you to per acre to give some drastic results, drastic change of yield, all of that, right? So that doesn't come with lot of negative implications. But especially when the soil is basic as in alkaline in nature, because biochar also generally is alkaline in nature, you might see implications when you don't treat it and directly put it back. But today in our process, we do it. And in that case also, we are not over producing biochar in the same field for a farmer to apply also, right? So these are the two limiting controls that we have in the process today. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks, Naga. I want to take one other question from the chat box from Sagaranadu, Satvik Foods LLP. They're asking about the price of carbon credit from cotton stocks that you are able to realize. I think you have your issuance done and probably are waiting for the sale. If you want to share or maybe a predicted range of sale price, if you are comfortable taking that question.
Anjali, you want to take that price?
Yeah, so with the current conversation that we have, so the price with all the, so we did a price discovery with all the benefits, the co-benefits that we have like with the project, and it's coming like $100 to $120 USD. So that's what because the same piece of the like the carbon credit, if just the production of the biochar and dumping it like in the field where you do not have any say the consent from the farmers or farmer declaration of owner or no real impact if you are able to trace, then the same carbon credits also goes for $65. But that's like the one thing that we are focusing on. So $100 to $120 for the current credits is what we have.
Wonderful.
And that converts into for cotton feedstock generally. 1 ton of biochar से the range that we have is around 2 credit बन जाता है because we don't have other emissions that is factoring into the model, right? Because from a carbon point of view, our model is like the least emission model that I could say, apart from the quantity this one, because we don't have a lot of logistical emissions, all of that, right? So that way, we get today at least what we got issuance for 1 ton of biochar makes 2 credits. And then back working all of that, that's where it is. And $200 is where you'll be able to realize from 1 ton of biochar of cotton.
Wonderful. Yeah. So
While we started to, Indian rupee, while we started to now, it has changed a lot. So वो Indian rupee में बताना थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा.
Wonderful. So Milind asked if cotton stalks are used as feedstock in Kontiki, how much biochar can be produced from one batch? Probably it depends.
Tejas, this is Anat. Can we get people to unmute and ask?
Yes.
It'll be much better because they can ask follow-up questions as well.
Yes. So Milind, would you like to unmute and ask your question? Followed by Damodara Sridhar. I think he has a follow-up question.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Hi, Milind. Go ahead.
Sir, my question is that if cotton stock are used, in quantity, how much biochar can be produced from one batch? And in whole day, how many batches will conduct?
एक बैच का हिसाब से अदर चैलेंज इज मोर ऑन हाउ डू यू मेजर द वॉल्यूम ऑफ द बायोचार एज इन द वेट द क्वांटिटी ऑफ बायोचार दैट यू प्रोड्यूस राइट सो क्वांटिटी का एक फिक्स्ड वॉल्यूम होता है सर उसका 1000 लीटर इज व्हाट आवर जनरल क्वांटिटीज आर एंड कॉटन का एक डेंसिटी इज व्हाट इट इज एंड कॉटन का 180 केजेस एक बैच में बन जाता है लाइक 180 और वो 100% नहीं बनता है मतलब टू द फुल वॉल्यूम ऑफ क्वांटिटी तो नहीं बन पाएंगे बिकॉज देयर विल बी लिटिल बिट ऑफ गैप सो टिपिकली 160 केजेस ऑफ बायोचार इज मेड पर बैच एंड पूरा दिन में द एटलीस्ट द मॉडल दैट वी हैव रन मतलब उसको तो लिमिट तो 4-5 बैच भी बना सकता है बट व्हाट वी लिमिट
Yes.
आवर ओन प्रोसेस विद द climapreneur all of that is because process quality has to be there so we limit it to 3 batches दिन में 3 बैच बन सकता है because एक एक बैच का ऑलमोस्ट 1.5 hour लगता है एंड 4-5 hours of operational time with 3 batches and एक बैच में 160 kg ऑफ फाइनल आउटपुट मिलता है सो 160 इंटू 3 मतलब लगभग वही 500 केजी ऑफ बायोचार बन पाएंगे मतलब एक दिन में एक क्वांटिटी से एक बैच पे से तो
Oh,
160 केजी से
okay. My next question, sir, is आप जो एमआरपी डिजिटल एमआरपी कर रहे हैं वो आप खुद की एमआरपी डेवलप की है या थर्ड पार्टी कर रहे हैं मीन्स मैं क्या है एग्रीकल्चर कॉलेज पे लेक्चरर हूँ और मैं ये लास्ट 10 ईयर से इन्वायरमेंट को सब्जेक्ट पढ़ाता हूँ और उसमें ये कार्बन क्रेडिट और कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन में पढ़ाता हूँ तो थेरोटिकल पता है बट इन प्रैक्टिकल व्यू डोंट नो दैट्स व्हाई आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन.
So we have our own platforms. The way we collect data is our own, and it registry have their own requirements in terms of आपको endorse करवाना है all of that. So हम लोग अपना level पे we have our own system in which we track data and we submit that for the issuance all of that. But अगर आपको मतलब कार्बन प्रोजेक्ट करना है then registry will also audit your उनका data side मतलब can there be any fake entries, can there be the how do you maintain the quality all of that the process is verified by the registry but we also have our own platform in which we track.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks, Milind. Anant, if you have any questions, I think it's good. Bibishan, if there are any questions from other platforms, please bring them here.
I think Damodar Sridhar had a question. I'm just going to go through some of the chat questions that have come up. If anybody wants to unmute and ask before we ask our questions.
Yeah, hi.
Hi
This is
there.
Amit. I am Dr. Sridhar here.
Yeah, go ahead, Sridhar ji. Dr. Sridhar. Narendra will come to you after. Dr. Sridhar. Dr. Sridhar,
Yes, please.
go ahead.
Yeah, mine is not a question actually. There is a suggestion that in case of paddy straw, one can probably go for briquetting and then conversion into biochar, rather than directly using it. If that is the case, we can convert that into biochar.
Okay.
Normally, people go for composting that, but instead of composting, one can go through biochar route also, but after briquetting. That is what I meant.
Thank you, sir. Naga, do you have any comment?
Yeah.
No, I think right.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's the right way.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Narendra Niramaya. Narendra, you had a question, you unmuted.
So आनंद मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है नागा
Amit,
के लिए.
yeah, go ahead.
यस नागा जी मेरे को एक समझना है कि आपके साथ जुड़ना है किसी रूरल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को तो कुछ इन्वेस्टमेंट करना पड़ेगा कैसे जुड़ना है क्या प्रोसेस होगा उसके बारे में आपके व्यूज दीजिए.
So today the current अभी तो मतलब geography is the one limitation that we have today because if someone is already in either Maharashtra or मध्य प्रदेश कोई भी अगर rural entrepreneur है जुड़ना चाहेंगे first step is अगर मतलब we generally reach out either via website में मतलब today we don't have a platform where every entrepreneur can directly do that website or like LinkedIn all of that generally today the way that we have and we just talk and understand what do you have as in आपका कितना किसान का access है all of that and in terms of investments Today, they're not significant investments. Maybe we ask कि quantity is what someone can buy and start doing it because there's a little bit of skin. आपका भी कुछ investment रहेगा और आपका भी कुछ interest रहेगा इसमें. And rest is more on one call and a little bit of understanding of what is that exact thing that you have. And अगर existing geography को match करते हैं बढ़िया है. Otherwise, we just see the potential कितना हो. Because if you are just thinking of your own farm today, मतलब अगर 5-6 एकड़ में करना है, maybe we are not a right, at least today our systems are not ready to do there. So at least it has to come from, मतलब how Anjali also has explained in the slides, right? At least you are able to do it with 100 to 80 farmers, something like that across the season. Then yeah, maybe we are the right ones. So आज का दिन में तो website ही एक तरीका है इसमें जो contacts and all of that exist. But yeah, let's see. Like our idea is maybe we put a app and थोड़ा ही mainstream बन जाएगा and more people can sign up and do this. But yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. Anybody else have a question? Please unmute and ask. किसी को हिंदी में सवाल पूछना है, प्लीज अपना सवाल आप जूम में अनम्यूट करके पूछ सकते हैं. जो यूट्यूब, लिंक्डइन और फेसबुक में सुन रहे हैं वो कमेंट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हैं अपना प्रश्न. नरेंद्र जी, या गो अहेड.
Quick question है, Naga ji was saying there is no like domestic carbon credit option. We have only international market, right? So I'm not familiar, but I read about Bharat carbon. So I'm not sure if that is connected to the carbon credit business in India or not.
Sir, honestly, I think I am not too much like aware of. I also heard a name like you, so I don't know. मतलब उसका ज़्यादा details मेरे को नहीं पता. Maybe that might be now the like कृषि कार्बन है ऐसा कुछ भारत कार्बन भी हो सकता है दूसरा कंपनी. But
no, it is a government program.
No, as
It's
such, from government point of view, there is, मतलब as such, from Indian government point of view, they are making their own regulations, all of that, which will take time a little bit. It is a good step, at least, कि they're not against what the whole carbon concept or carbon markets is, right? From a compliance point of view. But Indian carbon market, I think will take a little bit of time from where it is right now. And हम लोग जो भी अभी operate कर रहे हैं, उसको voluntary carbon market बोलते हैं. Like it's like VCM, so that's where we are operating in, right?
Great.
And with the current the developments that we have in the Indian carbon markets is like industries can exchange like in themselves. So if this is the goal and if I'm emitting less than the whatever is the threshold or like this thing, so I can like trade with the other industries. And we do not have like the concept of like you can, it's called the insetting. So there is concept of insetting with the policy that is coming up, but the offsetting concept will take like some more time.
Anybody else have a question?
Yes. Amit this side. मेरा और एक क्वेश्चन है, सेम क्वेश्चन को फॉलो अप क्वेश्चन है कि जो आपने इक्विपमेंट बोला था, व्हाट इज द एवरेज कॉस्ट ऑफ दैट इक्विपमेंट एंड लाइफ साइकिल क्या हो सकती है, कितने टाइम्स हम यूज कर सकते हैं, मल्टीपल टाइम्स, राइट?
So the quantity, I think generally the typical usage 3 years to hai, like from where we understand all of that, because we're already doing the second season with the, as in second year running with the first quantity, and that can be used for 2-3 years more also. And the cost typically sir vary karta hai state to state depending upon local fabrication versus this one, and the quality, all of that, right? Quality as in the thickness of like MIS you're using, all of that. So the range that we have today is ये तो 37,000 में भी बन जाता है एक क्वांटिटी की. To the mobile ones with wheels, little bit of all of that, we have spent around 70,000, and it also will come with little bit of moisture sensor, all of that. So कुल मिला के total 40,000 से 75,000 तक range है हमारा in terms of the way it is. And maybe you scale, then numbers can come low, but this is where we are in terms of. उसके बाद transport भी आता है, so generally it takes 3,000-4,000 per equipment for transport.
Okay.
So, Naga, I had a question, Naga and Anjali. When you take the Kontiki to the place where the biomass is generated, we have looked at other models where it is little more central, where farmers bring it to the centralized place. Is there a difference in this carbon calculation in this? Kind of dumb question because I don't know the standards, how they look at it. Do you get any benefit for actually going to the place other than the community benefit that you're looking at, or maybe an attitudinal behavioral change that she's talking about, that it's easier for us to go there and do it, the value prop is better than them bringing it to a central place?
So the range that we have today is ये तो 37,000 में भी बन जाता है एक क्वांटिटी की. To the mobile ones with wheels, little bit of all of that, we have spent around 70,000. And it also will come with little bit of moisture sensor, all of that. So कुल मिला के total 40,000 से 75,000 तक range है हमारा in terms of the way it is. And maybe you scale, then numbers can come low, but this is where we are in terms of. उसके बाद transport भी आता है, so generally it takes 4,000-3,000 per equipment for transport.
So the carbon credit calculation that we do is at the end of, so there's something we do like for the process, it's called the life cycle assessment. So whatever the activities that were there, like in the production of the biochar, maybe like when we're talking about the mobile model, then it's the transportation of the this clean from one field to another field, and then transportation is required. And when we're talking about more centralized or the hub setting, then there is transportation of the biomass, and also the transporting of the biochar back to the farmers. So this thing is required. So mostly because we are operating in a like on a village level, so the distance that is there, so it's around like maximum is around 5 kilometers for the either for the collection of the biomass too, because we are working with some farmers in Maharashtra, and these farmers have like say 10 acres or 15 acres of the land, and they are ready to like just segregate the all the biomass at one place. So it's like it works like more like hub model than like the centralized model. But we have to take into account this transportation, and mostly if the distance is more than the carbon credit, so there'll be reduction in the carbon credits. So it mostly depend upon like what's the kind of fossil fuels that you're using in the transportation of the planes. But again, like mobile unit will have like lesser sort of emissions than the hub models.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
You also work with different stakeholders, as in a verifier, a standards,
Yeah.
and a marketplace. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to understand the different actors involved here. So
Mhm.
when you go through this journey of selection, I will select this standard, I will select CSI, isometric, XYZ. What are the decision factors that you laid out, or was that an easy decision for you?
So the kind of model, so for there are multiple registries, like as you mentioned, and depending on the kind of machinery that we are using, specifically if we are talking about the biochar, so there are registry. For the Kontiki method that we are talking about, the low cost method, so only there are only two registry, and at that point of time there was only one, which is Carbon Standard International. There is now like one more registry, it's called Rainbow, that's there. But with the you choose about like what's the kind of like number of farmers you want to work with, what's the kind of machinery that we want to use, and what's the like will be the project size, and what's the investment also like you're able to put like into the project. Because when we're talking about the industrial setup, so the in the industrial setup you'll require like capex like 4 crores 5 crores just to build the entire thing, and then to run this thing. So and the industrial are certified by some registry, and these low tech are certified by like some registry. So that becomes the differentiation factor.
So you are going with isometric, right?
We are with Carbon Standard International.
Carbon standards. Okay, right.
Yeah.
And I mean, is there an evolution that you said, Naga, that the Kontiki now is going through an evolution that we want less emissions and all that? Are the standards also adapting to that? I mean, where do you see that evolving? Because there is a criticism there. We also looked at some standards that Isometric has put out, distributed network model, which is a little more different, smaller boilers and all that. So do you see a path towards that for you, or where do you see that going?
So for us, what we're looking at, I think the way right now registries are, right? I think it's clearly categorized into two parts, artisanal and industrial. मतलब दो ही है basically. So उसको language अलग अलग बोलना है तो distributed all of that. But people are trying to come midway also. So midway का answer is I think what is it like industrial है मतलब in a way it is industrial only, right? So artisanal industrial दो ही तरीके exist करते हैं आज का दिन मार्केट में, and they're like separate registries for both. Artisanal के लिए registries अलग है, industrial के लिए अलग है. And जो industrial करता है, they don't accept artisanal today. मतलब the way right now the design is isometric, puro, all of those, they don't accept artisanal products as of now. But जो artisanal accept करता है, Rainbow and CSI, I think these are the only two methodologies that exist at least. And CSI is much older and Rainbow is just evolving. And ये लोग artisanal industrial दोनों accept करते हैं. मतलब they have both methodologies, the framework, all of that. So that way right now it is. And for us the path right now we are looking at is, it's not about the registry per se, because from outside point of view it looks like if इसका नाम थोड़ा अच्छा है, all of that. It's more of who is that your buyer is, where are they based out of, and what are the standards that they are looking at. Example, I will tell you, if you're looking for a buyer somewhere in US, maybe your buyer sits in US, the carbon credit buyer, then you have to align with what do they want. मतलब वो लोग किस registry का खरीदता है, वो लोग isometric का खरीदता है, maybe you can evolve and go there. Or if they are looking at, because everything in carbon also has standards, right? like ICORA is a standard that people want it as, and ICVM is Indian International Voluntary Carbon Market, so that is endorsed by them, all of those. So जिस registry का standards थोड़ा better है, उसका credibility थोड़ा better है. So that is what generally we look at. And today CSI is there. We are on CSI. We are naturally transitioning, looking at the model that we are building. Rainbow is a little bit better suited. हमको थोड़ा लग रहा है कि इसमें भी थोड़ा कर सकता है. And it is also coming with a little bit of better quality control. They're asking temperature sensor to track करना चाहिए, like all of those. So which is doable in your SOP. मतलब आप operationally आप ये चीज कर रहे हो, एक दो एडिशन से आप थोड़ा better कर सकते हो. Is what we are right now looking at. Rainbow is there. Isometric is a little bit more वो सेमी इंडस्ट्रियली देख रहे हैं एंड राइट नाउ वी डोंट हैव द आंसर देयर मतलब वो अगेन इट बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस टू honestly today at the stage we are in, maybe not 12 months from now we're not looking at isometric as an answer because some of them the it doesn't solve the same problem मतलब अगर iso standard के लिए आप solve करना है then that's a different issue but farmer के लिए करना है then we are looking at CSI then also rainbow as addition to and धीरे धीरे evolve होते जाएंगे आज का दिन when we started there was only one registry there are two maybe there might be four more or maybe we don't know isometric might evolve it.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Anybody in the audience, anybody have questions, please do interrupt. We'll be asking questions all night because we are passionate about biochar here. We've got 4 people here who are equally passionate about biochar. We've got hundreds of questions. So feel free to interrupt and raise your question. Deepak, do you have a question? I see you unmuted.
Very good evening, good afternoon. I joined it very late. Just got the message on LinkedIn, which Anjali has posted it. I am joining from Bahrain, from GCC, and part of an entity which does sustainability and biochar. I mean, dreaming to do biochar, I would say. So I have seen a lot of posting and a lot of coverage, but looking outside India, it look really good. So my question to Naga, when he's talking about which registries buyers are doing. In GCC, people are focused more towards Global Carbon Council registry, where they get the credits. Some of them are going with the Pure Earth, but again, Pure Earth is known to be anti-biochar producer. It is very complicated. So how you crack that part? And later we will connect offline, but if there's an interest of time, if you can throw some light on that part. Thank you.
Sir, I think आज के दिन में I think I was also explaining the same part. So artisanal जो हम लोग biochar जो बना रहे हैं आज का part. So there are only two standards that accepts. Like one is Carbon Standard International, which is based out of, if I'm not wrong, it's based out of Sweden, Swiss company. And there is another piece which is Rainbow, which is like a French company today. These are the only two standards that accepts the biochar methodology that we are doing today. And we are following those standards. And largely this is driven also by a little bit on, abhi to do ही available hai, to easy choice, right? You just start with whichever is easy to do. And Puro.earth, it's a from an industrial, if you're trying to make it as a commercial business and also have that industrial perspective, all of that, then it's a good registry. I think isometric, Puro.earth are really good with the perspective to that. But we have not, we honestly, I think we never worked with them, so we don't know the experience with them.
What is the end user or buyer of this CCs, which is done by our farmers?
So today, at least for the model that we are working with, largely दो ही segment exist करता है. Someone in Europe, like any sort of business with little bit of mid-size or little bit of tech companies, all of that, or oil and gas in Europe, generally has this point of view of overall carbon, climate mitigation, all of that as a strategy. So net zero karna hai and all of that. And the other segment that we have is US big tech companies, all of those names that we know. मतलब newspaper article, like those are the two sort of things that exist in this, and what we are, at least the model that we are building suits largely from a European buyer point of view, because they look impact as a core focus rather than just being the technology, because the technology that is being built behind this carbon removals, right? So Europe is better suited in terms of the geography for buyer base, all of this, and carbon is also, conversations are much active, people are open to learn, do all of that. So today our buyer base largely lies in Europe. Yeah.
Okay. And does India allows, I don't know, still it's too early even in India to have a countrywide blocking of selling outside country. I think once that things gets into place, will that the scenario be different?
Honestly, I think there will not be blockage because from an economic point of view, it's export revenue. So
Yeah.
more and more
Okay.
better it is from an economic point of view. Ideally, it shouldn't, but let's see what it will evolve to. Yeah.
Okay. And the machinery which is used, the clean, and it has got GPS and all that. I got bits and pieces of the information from here and there. Is it manufactured by your team or it's outsourced?
Design is exists. We have made a little bit of modifications, but it is fabricated locally. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I think I'll connect offline with you, Naga.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
connect the other day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deepak. Tejas, you have any questions? You're on mute, Tejas. You want to unmute yourself.
Okay, I think Dhruv has unmuted. If he has any question, we could take one or two last questions and wrap the session up. Dhruv?
Well, I think, okay, till he asks, Anjali, question for you. You said there are cultural attitudes, you work across the 50 or many different states. What are the differences you're seeing in the cultural attitudes when you deal with, I'm assuming, a predominantly women farmer population? Can you give us some insights? Just curious.
Yeah, so like mostly when we're talking about the smaller agri household and like a little bit of like again like correlating the two of the geographies that we are working in Gujarat. So when the agri when the small plot size is there, so the women take the ownership because the mostly like the whatever is produced is consumed on the household level, and it's like a care work or the any which goes like unpaid, and hence like the decision making and everything, so that stays with the women farmers, and women farmers like decide like if they want to do or like if they don't want to like proceed with this, and they think mostly like from the point of view, if we don't deal with the residue then they have to deal with the residue, so okay, so we will deal with so you just go ahead and deal with the residue. But when we are talking about like the farm size is like around 3 to 4 acres or it goes beyond that, then the mostly all the decisions that are there, so those are taken by the men or the male farmer that is there, and they think like mostly from the say the commercial perspective, because the agri is a very commercial activity there. So if someone is like if you are spending 1500, if someone else is like cleaning the field like I mentioned earlier, then we should like go ahead with that, like note this thing. So for women farmer it becomes a like very personal sort of thing, because we are freeing some of the space from their routine, but for the male farmer it's like generally like one sort of like the additional activity or the commercial thing, so that it becomes so different, like even in the Gujarat, so two districts but very different attitude depending on like again the socio-economic.
Got it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
We got a question from YouTube. Ramesh is asking on biomass projections. Do you have the climapreneur doing any projections and forecast ahead of time, or do you centrally manage all that? That's a
No,
question.
so we actually have like some of the village meetings. Like now the sowing for the cotton is starting. Like in Gujarat, it has like started already, and the climapreneurs, because they are from the same village and like this thing, so they know like the farmers who have already produced and the farmers who are producing. So they just onboard the farmer on the platform that we have. So which farmer is going to grow like how much of the biomass, and then like we have a sort of like maybe at the last moment the farmer who registered the interest might not be interested in the last moment, and there might be like another farmer who was not interested and is interested at the last moment, so such of like these things happen. But we have a roughly estimate on the village level where the climapreneur is there, so what's the volume of the biomass is going to be.
Right,
Yeah,
got it.
and just to add there, I think the challenge with centrally doing it is we might do some theoretical number largely based on today. It's not a maybe reliable data source to suggest that itna harvesting itna ho gaya. Maybe it's government data, at least to be honest, is not at least there's not too much of reliability. Maybe you can do it a little bit of technology, all of that. maybe we will evolve there as we scale all of that, because telling ki, but other challenge with is sowing doesn't happen at a uniform time, right? Like, so how do you predict all of that? So largely today it's a little bit on climate knowledge plus data collection that we do, so that whatever collected data can be shown in a way where, okay, kisko prioritize karna hai. But a little bit of planning exercise happens on the platform, but it will evolve to a technology as in where we can predict the biomass, all of it is available as we scale. But today is largely field driven because that is the most reliable way in which things can be done. Yeah.
All right. There's another question on recovery rate. What is the recovery rate you're looking at cotton versus chili? And how do you constantly train the climapreneurs to get better at that? Or is there a metric for that? That's a
Recovery
question
rate
from.
is more like conversion rate, biomass to biomass.
Yes.
Today, I think it's 25% for cotton, and chili is also a little bit lower than it, but largely utna hai. And we don't track anything based on biomass to this one, because our system largely is designed to track how much of quantity of biochar is made for it. And wo biochar basis pe hi payment hoga. All of that is largely there, because those efficiencies, it's not an efficiency engine that we are trying to build ki bhai itna biomass mein zyada produce karo, because that is largely not because the thickness of it is largely not a uniform feedstock that is available, right? The cotton available in Gujarat, irrigated versus non-irrigated versus seed variety, all of that is not in our control. हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते उसमें, to be honest. Then you put that basis and tell कि 1 acre में आपको इतना yield आना ही चाहिए biochar का, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because of the
It's
practical constraint. So we don't put we just manage largely track around the biochar quantity produced. Yeah.
to add what Naga is saying, the biochar output is dependent on carbon content of the biomass and the water content. It varies field to field. It varies even two fields next to each other can have different outputs. So that number is difficult to ascertain. So what you guys are doing is correct.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you for that insight.
Yep, and I think nowadays a lot of trials are also happening around adding a few catalysts, especially in the industrial setups, where the amount of fixed carbon could go up a little bit just to make those numbers a little bit better when it comes to carbon. But I think hopefully one day we'll have a good long session about it from a group of biochar entrepreneurs. Anand, if you have any last questions, you can do.
No, I just want to say thank you for sharing the startup journey. I think that was very, very critical for us, at least, to learn how you pivoted, how you looked at things very systematically, like Tejas had alluded to earlier. And especially finding that payer outside the community is so important for your stability. My only one question there before I get Tejas to close, or if he has more questions, is, are you constantly looking for more payers? Is it investors or is it marketplaces? Where do you put more of your time into?
Today, I think we have spent, again, payer like we have spent last 15 months in doing it, as in the carbon credit payer, like as in who will buy these credits, right? Essentially, at the end of the day, we have to be sustainable, scale the work that we are doing. Oh, essentially,
Exactly.
we are logged in and there's a deal set there. So we at least will not touch that, at least for next, there's opportunity exists, we'll largely see it, but not from a focus point of view. So at least next 2 years is not, we are not looking at ki bhai aur zyada buyer ko dhundna hai. That's not a focus, at least for now. We are looking more from how do we scale this, because it has as a business, it has a working capital, this one. So we are raising investment now. We have done as of now with little bit of what we have done. We have raised around all of that. Now we are looking more from an investment point of view. How do you make this investable? The business that we are building, how do you make this investable? So that because there is a buyer, मतलब farmer को value मिल रहा है, climapreneur को भी value मिल रहा है, and we have a payer who is ready to buy these credits. So then it should be investable, right? So we are like not trying to lock that at least for next 12 months so that we can scale this business and hopefully make it a much bigger, maybe reach to million farmers at some point in next 4-5 years. Yeah.
So for investors watching this, how much are you asking for?
We are asking for right
All
now
that they
2
have.
million. So yeah.
Everything that the investor has in his pocket.
Yeah, ideally.
Yeah, they're very smart not to reveal that number. I like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tejas. Go ahead. Thank you, Naga. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you very much.
We've shot past 8:30, but I want to ask one last question to Naga because I know a little bit of background about him. Naga, how has your experience with Kheti coming from an agri company helped you in your journey in KriSHE?
I think a lot of answers of payer scale farmer challenges. It's like a testing field, right? Like you have worked in one organization where they're also trying to work with farmers, build a solution, all of that, right? So it has kind of, I would say, testing field for you to understand ki we don't, matlab, the discovery that we did in 14 months was much faster because we have a lot of learnings from it. At least customer understanding to clear it. So farmer side is very clear for us when we started this journey. Carbon took us a lot of time because carbon has its own inbuilt time of 7 to 8 months minimum आपको कुछ भी करना है. So those sort of learnings, partners, all of that understanding, मतलब practicality just not with Andhra or Telangana. मतलब बाकी states में क्या क्या हो सकता है. And that payer challenge because at KT we used to do वो जो we used to sell 1 lakh product to the farmers. So conversion rate is literally 1%. Only 1% in farmers used to buy it and rest 99 rejects. So that answer typically came from ये scale नहीं हो पाएगा is largely from there. We have to look at something from there. So those has been sort of practical testing field for you to even do something before you starting. I think that has been Katie for us.
Wonderful.
Okay, Tejas, wait. You asked a question to Naga. I'm asking a question to Anjali then. It's fair. Anjali, how do you decide between co-founder conflicts when both of you think differently? How do you guys resolve it? Please give an insight because a lot of us go through that and we're just trying to find new strategies.
This is difficult one.
Okay, all right. Oh, it's very important. A lot of us are young, co-founders, and we're all like butt our heads against each other when it comes to certain decision points and folks on the road and all that, So what is your take on it?
It's very nice that Anand wants to consider himself young, but yeah, please.
Shut up. All right.
So it's mostly like this conflict, and this, you're very right about it. So it's like almost every day. So we are stuck on something or other. So
Right.
Deciding something and then undeciding something. So the answer is very simple. Like whenever we decide like to have another project or just to add one thing, so we just go back to, we take our time and just go back to why we started. And if this fits into like that structure or that vision that we have when we started, then we go ahead with that. Otherwise, we say it's a big no.
Thank you. That helps. Tejas, go ahead. We said we'll hard stop at 8:30. You guys have to come back for us to do this session in Hindi, okay? Because I see Naga, very this switching to Hindi as well. So we have to do a session in Hindi to reach a wider audience. We get that complaint all the time since we're doing this in English that Hindi mein karo, Hindi mein karo, Hindi mein karo. So you guys have to come back down the road. Tejas, go ahead and close the session. Thanks again.
Yeah, मेरे को भी हिंदी सीखना पड़ेगा. Better Hindi.
You speak well. Just a request next time, if I can get an early notification, I could have joined it. Anyway,
Right.
I'll wait for the recordings.
Thank you, Deepak ji. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thanks.
Thanks, Naga. Thanks, Anjali. And thanks, Anand, for making this all possible through Shaker TV, not just on biochar, but a lot of subjects that are useful for farmers. And thank you all for joining today. Real thanks and special thanks to Naga and Anjali for coming and sharing their biochar journey. I myself am a regenerative farmer and a very enthusiastic person on biochar because I think it helps solve for farmers, agri residue, soil, as well as climate in a whole. I think it's a material that holds immense potential. Which we already use all around us, but sometimes fails to realize and take it for granted. So it's very nice to see and hear Naga and Anjali's journey, KriSHE's journey. We wish them all the best and we hope to get them back again after a few more milestones have hit. And yeah, and this Shekru TV Biochar series aims to bring more such entrepreneurs into this long series and share their experiences so that this becomes a collective platform to question, to have a laugh, chat, and then grow collectively. So thanks for joining, Naga. Thanks, Anjali. And if there is anyone else listening who might want to ask a question or come join, share their experiences using biochar, whether it's farmers, scientists, researchers, or entrepreneurs, please do reach out to Shekru team.
Tejas, we might want to share the contacts of Naga or Anjali, one of you, if you want to share your contacts on WhatsApp or email, whatever.
Yeah, Naga's email is in the chat box. I'll repeat that, naga@krishecarbon.com. And I think his phone number is 79755 97294. It's 7975597294. Anyone who wants to interact with Naga and his team can reach out to him. Thanks a lot. We have overpassed our time. Thanks, Naga. Thanks, Anjali. We wish you all the very best and stay strong. And
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing this. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we have talked this much after a very long time. So it also brings like some of the things we started with. So it just brings back all the things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good night.
Shalom.